Last-minute preparations. With plenty at stake, even the top stars were more tense than is normally the case.
Well, we need to win. We need to get in category, that is specials category. We need to pull a win on Carolyn because he beat us at the last race at the 500. So that put us 8 points behind. So we need to win today, and if Bucks comes second, then we tie level in the championship.
Klaus Degener and Derek Pinoy were first away in the Duckhams Chenowth. Attention was focused on the expected duel with Bucks Carolyn, with the normally affable Carolyn also showing signs of a little strain before the start.
I think we're just going to have to keep in touch with him the whole race and watch for him to make a mistake. He's going to be hard to beat. He's hot at the moment.
Everyone agreed that dust would be a problem, but Greg Wiebel, one of the hottest properties in off-road racing at the moment, had his tactics all mapped out.
I think we're going to take it to the refuel. We won't push it that hard and we'll race on the way home. I think that's where the game's going to be.
The vastly experienced Castrol Raceco also had his race strategy well in hand.
Gister se 60 km was baie meer soos tydrenne geweest, redelik skoon geweest, afsonderlik op 'n paar lelike plekke geweest. Ek verstaan die eerste 150 km gaan 'n soortgelyke paaie kry. So as ek vandag my kop gebruik en ordentlik ry behoort, dan kan ek aan uit te kom.
With hot and dry weather a certainty, it was going to be a long and hard day for crews. With Klaus Degener and Derek Pinoy getting lost early on, Bucks Carolyn and Kenny Scholthammer snatched the lead in the Castrol Raceco within 20 kilometres of the start. Castrol Raceco and Wiley Harrington in the factory Toyota Hilux 4x4 were running in 4th place in the early stages. Although going well, Raceco and Harrington were under pressure from Alfred van Vieren and Pierre Pelser in the privately entered Toyota Hilux. In Class 3, the early leaders were Norman Morgenrud and Evert Kemp in a two-wheel drive Toyota Hilux, with spectators willingly pointing out the right route to follow. As was to be expected, former South African champions RP Raceco and Lucas Dreyer were out in front in Class 6 in the BP Ford Courier, with Steve Parker and VZ van Zyl quickly taking control of proceedings in Class 7. Back at the start, 2 hours later, it was the bikers who were making final preparations. For the two-wheelers, dust was also going to be a major problem.
Having the fastest time from yesterday, allows you to start first today, which is a little bit of an advantage because, I'm not going to have dust in the beginning. But if the course is well marked and, you're not going to get lost, you could be able to stay in front because of the dust factor. The guy behind you has got to get through your dust and try and get past you. So, I'm just going to have to set the pace as fast as I can go and keep it safe the whole day,
Alfie Cox's wife looked a little tense as he led the field away. For Jeremy Davies, the tactics were simple.
Let the dust clear. And if you can get right with him, then stay with him. If you can keep, but it's difficult. You slow each other down like that. So rather hang back, let him work, and hopefully pick up where he makes his mistakes.
Like Klaus Degener and Derek Pinoy in the car section, Alfie Cox ran into early problems, and it was Jeremy Davies who made the early running.
Dust is dangerous, very dangerous. Well, if you come into dust and you don't have the guys turned off, if there's a fence in front of you, or there's a car park in front of you, or nothing. So you just got to slow down and hope there's nothing in front of you.
Errol Dalton was just setting out on his race when proceedings came to a halt for leading car crew Richard Schilling and Robert Walk in the Mototech Raceco.
Yeah, unfortunately the gearbox is blown. I don't know, we came around a fast right hand and just a hell of a noise out the gearbox. We just managed to get back here slowly in first gear. So that's it for this race.
Still out in front of the bikers, Jeremy Davies was belting along at speeds approaching 150 kilometers an hour. There is a school of thought that holds that off-road motorcycle racers are crazy, and the pounding that riders take often leads one to believe that the theory holds water. Local spectators gave the racers plenty of support, with second-placed Mark Myron on the Castrol Honda going well in the early stages. Errol Dalton was up into third place on the Bird Paradise Kawasaki, with Alfie Cox struggling in the dust to make up for lost ground. In a tremendous performance, Brian Bontekoning had moved up into 5th place on the 200 Winston Yamaha. Saki Niemann was also well placed in 6th overall on the Sun City Honda. There was pressure for Niemann from Yanni de Bruyn, who was flying on the NGK Team Green Kawasaki. Dust was the major problem for those further down the field. With Winston Yamaha teammate Richard Manning hot on his heels, Gavin Nimmo cast an anxious look over his shoulder. A thumbs up from Manning indicated all was well. Back with the cars, Bux Carolyn and Kenny Scholthammer were still in the lead and bombing along in the Castrol Raceco, which is powered by a Porsche motor. At speeds approaching 180 kilometers an hour, high-speed yumps were bound to catch the attention of both driver and navigator. Greg Wiebel and Warren Claassen had moved up into 2nd spot and were doing their best to put Carolyn and Scholthammer under pressure. There was certainly no shortage of spectators along the route, with Cassie Coetzee reveling in the conditions. The Springbok rally driver and Wiley Harrington have moved up into 3rd place and were taking the fight to the space frame drivers. Consistency was again the name of the game where Alfred van Vuren and Piet Pelser were concerned. They were well placed to take advantage of any mishaps hitting those ahead of them. Also moving up through the field were Philip Milan and Springbok navigator Richard Leake in the turbocharged Toyota Hilux 4x4. After a disappointing season so far, the pair were desperate for a good result. There were more problems for Klaus Degener and Derek Pinoy. The Duckhams Chenowth was down to 1st and 2nd gears, which was a major handicap on the fast sections. And a change of roles for Nardus Alberts. After navigating for Robin Yates for 2 seasons, Alberts has taken over driving duties in the Rapsa Raceco, and partnered by brother Paul, was going along very nicely. There were no problems too for Free Staters Theo Coetzee and Ian Wedderburn. The pair were in control of Class 3 in the imported Chev, which was at home in the conditions. Off-road faithfuls were quick to spot that the aging Toyota Landcruiser, previously campaigned by Vryburg farmer Andre Koch, had changed hands. Cecil Fincham and Yanni Pretorius were up with the Class 6 leaders in a vehicle that has given valiant service over the years. A South African flag added a touch of colour to the Toyota Hilux in the hands of East Rand dairy farmer Alex Vowles and Corrie de Runt. They were under pressure from Linton Draper and were later to hit problems, although they made it to the finish. Giel Reyneke and Kevin Neustadt were leading Class 1 in the standard Mazda Buggy, but that dust caused a problem or two for the Smith brothers, Tom and Joe. The Smith brothers are sons of the former Roof of Africa winner John Smith and are following in Dad's footsteps. Former South African champion Fred Levesque picked up a hefty time penalty on the first racing section and was battling to make up time to finally finish 2nd in Class 9 in the Mototech car. Some of the locals were indifferent about the action going on around them, but Jeremy Davies was still hard at work at the front of the field on the Truck Africa KTM. Alfie Cox on the Fortfire Kawasaki had finally fought his way up into 2nd place. He was now charging after old friend and rival Davies, but still had plenty of work ahead of him. Mark Myron had slipped back into 3rd spot on the Castrol Honda, but had ridden a workmanlike race to stay in touch with the 2 frontrunners. Errol Dalton was also starting to throw the Bird Paradise Kawasaki around in spectacular fashion. With race distance running out rapidly, Dalton was in the middle of a late charge. Also charging was Mmabatho Sun, still in 5th place overall on the 200 Winston Yamaha in a tremendous performance. Saki Niman took the odd wide line here and there, but was still going strong on the Sun City Honda. Also still holding down a place in the top 10 was Yanni de Bruin, who had performed admirably on the NGK Team Green Kawasaki. Gavin Nimmo had lost touch with the leaders, with the pace up front even faster than most had predicted. Nimmo was still holding off his Winston Yamaha teammate Richard Manning, with the pair also starting to force the pace in the later stages of the race. John Hodgson had also forced his way into the top 10 on the Pelham Products KTM, but was under severe pressure from Kevin Tebbett on the Sun City Honda. Off-road race surroundings are often rustic, but there was nothing rustic about the pace Bux Carolyn and Kenny Scholthammer were setting at the front of the car field. With the conditions very much to his liking, Kasi Coetzee had moved the Toyota Hilux into 2nd place and was proving a handful for the space frame merchants. Alfred van Vuuren and Piet Pelser were also striking a blow for the Buggy Brigade and were in a solid 3rd place. Scything their way through the field were Philip Milan and Richard Leake. In their best performance for a long time, the pair were well in control of Class 6. On the bike front, Jeremy Davies was still out in front on the Truck Africa KTM, but was starting to come under pressure from Alfie Cox, although the Kawasaki rider was not helped by a serious dust problem. Our brave Mmabatho Sun had ridden nearly 200 kilometers with a flat back tyre, but still had the throttle wide open. The fact that the Winston Yamaha was bucking all over the place did not deter Mmabatho Sun. Errol Dalton also had the throttle wide open and had enough energy left to pop a huge wheelie when he spotted our cameraman. Up at the finish, Bux Carolyn and Kenny Scholthammer had overcome a few late problems to make it first to the flag to chalk up another victory. Second home were Alfred van Vuuren and Piet Pelser, with the hard luck story of the day going to Kasi Coetzee and Wiley Harrington. The pair were in the lead when they picked up a puncture. Carolyn and van Vuuren streamed past, and to add insult to injury, Coetzee and Wiley Harrington were excluded for losing their marshal's checkpoint car.
One of those days, eh? We had 2 punches off the refuel and we ran out of tyres, so the last 50, 60 k's we had to really take it easy, and Kasi got in front of us, and he unfortunately had a punch, otherwise it would have been his race, but we got here before him, so we won.
A hard-earned win for Carolyn and Scholthammer, with plenty of late race drama. But with only one space frame car in the top 10, the race belonged to the Buckies. There was also late drama on the bike side. Both Jeremy Davies and Alfie Cox got into a tangle over route markings. Davies got himself back on course quickest, and then it was plain sailing.
80 k's out. We got together and the marking was a little bad. He'd wrong slot here, I'd wrong slot there, and eventually I got the break and I took advantage of it. I made as much dust as possible so he couldn't come back past me.
Cox came home 2 minutes behind Davies, and after a warm welcome from his wife, had a tale of woe to tell.
I slipped down on the corner and the handlebars bent forward. So I couldn't ride with the handlebars in the position it was. So I thought maybe I could get lucky and Jeremy might get lost or the marking would be bad. So I'll straighten the handlebars and then I'll take a chance, you know. And it never worked out.
A good race between some superb riders, with Jeremy Davies again showing his mettle. Mmabatho Sun's name is missing from the results, with the Winston Yamaha rider excluded for overshooting the finish line. The Mmabatho Sun 500 was proudly brought to you